All right, welcome back, boys. We're at it again with another podcast. This time I have the right hand man. I got Jared with me,
Huh?
and then we have another guy who recently found himself with a bunch of free time on his hands since he doesn't like to play his XCFL games. We got Mike Chad with the Texans.
Arr, arr. Oh, that's so sad.
Oh, oh. Um, and this week we're gonna just be doing a quick power rankings of the 32 teams we got. And so, first on the list, if you guys want to talk about it, we have the 32nd ranked Cincinnati Bengals.
Jay,
So
you
I
go
had the
first.
Chiefs ranked at 32, but I understand why the Bengals fall there. I played them a little bit earlier this season. I think they have potential. I think the Chiefs are going to start a rebuild pretty soon.
Chad?
Bengals, we said at 32. Right?
Yeah.
Way to keep
Yeah,
up.
I have them at 31, but I guess I can't say my 32nd team yet. But I'll get there when he comes up.
All right. At 31, we have the Kansas City Chiefs.
And this is where I had the Bengals. So they were intertwined, but I think the Bengals have more potential than the Chiefs going forward.
I disagree. I think the Chiefs are all right because if you look at their scores, they played a lot of people tough. Like I played them last night and I barely beat them. I beat them by like 4 or something. So I mean, they got weapons all over the fucking board. I
Yeah.
don't think they should be this
That
deep.
I can see you on. That I can see you on.
Personally, I had the Chiefs at 30, and that's just because they don't have a win. Of the teams down here in the bottom, they're probably the one you want to play the least. So I think they're gonna get some progress going. And then at number 30, we have the Miami Dolphins.
The Dolphins have a super rough roster to play with right now. I think it'll take a couple seasons before they are real contenders.
Yeah, I agree with that. They ain't gonna do shit for like the next 3 years, probably.
Yeah, I
They got nothing to
actually
work with.
I had him at 31. That's just there's just not a lot going on with the roster. You do have the best uniforms in the game though, if that's what you're concerned about. 29 and 32nd in the NFL, we have the New York Giants.
I had the Giants and the Fins in the same situation. Saquon's a monster, but he can't be your only weapon on the field. That's a impossible situation.
I had the Giants ranked last just because they were getting their asses handed to them by like a bunch of scrubs. But then he did beat VBD like yesterday or some shit. So I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't believe the hype though.
I moved the Giants up a little bit from where we had them collectively because I just couldn't see RV down there at like 30 with especially with a big win over the Patriots already.
I guess the Giants are just cursed in this league.
And then at 28, another one I personally didn't really agree with. We have the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I had the Rams here. I think I looked at the Cardinals like stats, and Kyler Murray's completing 75% of his passes. He has 8 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, but I'll live with 75% completion rate. Just gotta get the touchdown interceptions under control.
I like Brent this deep because he wasn't really relevant at the end of last cycle, and he's sucking this cycle. I think it's the end of Brent, honestly.
I have I had the Cards at personally I had him at like 24. Brent's a good user and he'll scrape some wins out of that roster probably. We'll see. 27 the Rams.
I think the Rams have a good roster. I think the cap management has to be on point for how many people they have to pay, and it's a little bit older, especially with Aaron Donald. Like that contract's going to be massive throughout the rest of the Madden. So I think this is right there for them. I think they'll move up throughout the year, though.
I think the Rams had a good roster until they just fucking traded everyone. Didn't they trade Goff and Cooks?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know what the fuck's going on over there.
Here's what's weird. They shipped those guys out and then they beat a team we might have near the top, so we'll get to that later, which is kind of wild. And then 26, we have the Seattle Seahawks. So NFC West bringing up the bottom here.
Yeah, remember when I said our division sucked, Eagle?
I do.
The Hawks have some talent. Bobby Wagner is a problem in the middle. I actually lost to him earlier in the year, up by 10, and didn't really know what happened. But Bobby Wagner makes all the plays, and then speed on the outside. That's a big deal. I think they'll be more towards the middle of the pack by the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also think they'll probably pick it up in the next couple seasons. They got a good roster to build around.
Yeah, if you look, it's a couple of tough losses. What doesn't make a lot of sense is they took a pretty bad loss to the Bengals, who then lost their next 5. The Seahawks have had a pretty hellacious schedule, and appearing going off of what Main Chat's saying right now, like they might be getting to 2-5 on the Ravens, depending on how they work that out. So, I mean, that's a good spot for where their record is. At 25, we have the Minnesota Vikings.
This is where I had the Cards ranked. I think the Vikings have quite a bit to build around. I just don't like some of the older schedule. I don't know what their cap room is going to be in the next couple of years because they've got a lot of people to pay.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's just
agree with
up this year, really.
I also, again, I think the Vikings can turn it around in the near future.
I had him at 28. Kirk Cousins has thrown a lot of picks. Going off daddy leagues, they haven't got Dalvin Cook going 31st ranked rushing yards. And then also, if it's correct, they have basically one of the worst defenses in the league. So that's just not a good recipe for success right now. And then 24, moving on up, we have the Denver Broncos.
Get Noah Fant involved in the game.
He's
He should be the number one target.
he's like third on the team in receptions. He's only trailing the number 1 by 2 catches.
You got to feed him the football. Feed him the football.
I saw the Broncos. Their defense is decent, giving up only 154, but they can't score the ball that much. They're only putting up 112, and everyone else around them with shitty records have 30, 40 more points than them.
Yeah, he came out of the gate strong. He was definitely overperforming with the roster, but since then he's taken a quite a decent amount of losses in a row now.
That team's really good in real life.
No, and then up to 23 we have the Chargers. So we're lumping people up by division here.
I had the Chargers ranked quite a bit ahead of talented roster. Brackett's a good user. I think that they're a little bit higher than 23, but I understand why they're here.
I think 23 fits him perfectly. I beat him and I fucking fumbled the ball 4 times in a row in the second half. He should have beat me, but he sucks, so he didn't.
It was fumble.
Was all his forced fumbles with his hard hitting safeties?
Yeah, Derwin James caused 3 fumbles.
Yeah, so
every drive would end in a fumble.
Hey, if you're gonna build a hard hitting backfield like that, and their purpose is to create fumbles, you gotta tip your hat to them because they're definitely holding up their end of the bargain.
I think this is one of the teams that can move up farther than most.
At number 22, we have the Tampa Bay Ronald Joneses.
Also, another hard roster to start out with, but playing really well so far. The Bucks, I think they stay here for the rest of this year, right around 2022, and then after this next draft, if they get some of the key players, I think they move up drastically.
Yeah, I think the Bucks offense has been cooking. They have 174 points for, and I don't see anyone even close to that. With our next couple guys coming up.
Yeah, it's a same song, different dance for Nick Z in this roster. He's starting it off. He's lighting it up again. He was doing the same thing with young Ronald Jones last time. The key for him is just Ronald Jones staying healthy because he's always a solid team when he has him. And then the other thing would be try to make the defense better than it ended up last time. And then 21, we have the Atlanta Falcons.
Super talented roster. I think they just got to put some stuff together. They might have one of the best speedy linebackers in the league. I think the Falcons should move up on this list if they can put stuff together.
I think you fall off drastically, 33-7. I just blew them out. Thank you very much. See you later.
With the issue I have with the Falcons is he's sitting at a 3-3, and he hasn't played the 5-1 Panthers or the 5-1 Saints once, so it might get a little ugly before it gets better. So I think they're rated pretty accurately. And then at 20, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Man, that offense is terrible. That offense is god awful.
Bro, you play in the rain every single game. Every single game. Except for the one in Houston.
I don't see how you're going to win a game
Oh,
as
shit,
soon
you're
as
the
Nick Foles... Like, Nick Foles can't even get a throw off. He literally needs 10 seconds in the pocket to get a throw off.
All right. You've made your case on offense. What about the defense, at least, then?
Defense is nasty.
Yeah, the corners. I mean, Jalen's fucking savage.
Yeah.
And
Defense is
then
nasty.
at 19, you guys and not me have the Dallas Cowboys there.
I think they should be performing higher than what they are with that roster. I think they have a lot of talent on that roster, and they're not using it to the full extent of it.
Yeah, Van's a good user, and I mean his offense again. I'm looking at it's lighting people up compared to his defense, but he's only sitting 500. So, I mean he could win more games. So obviously,
his offense is nice and his defense is nice. He put up a really impressive showing against Josh in the late night game or the early morning game. I personally had him at 12. I think they're going to start clicking a little bit here. And then number 18, Tennessee Titans.
I didn't really know a whole lot about the Tennessee Titans. I haven't got to watch them at all. I know they have a decent enough roster, but I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about them.
yeah, I don't have a lot either. Besides, they have sick jerseys, and I haven't played them yet, so it'll be interesting to see how they.
I played them. It's kind of like playing a bracket a little bit. On the defensive side, everybody hit sticks, and they force a lot of fumbles. So 18 works for them now, and I expect them to move on up, especially after they sweep Chad. So number 17, New England Patriots.
Which is pretty shocking for VBD and that roster. I think they have a lot of talent, and I think VBD will make a push for the playoffs. He's got Josh to contend with in that division, but I think he'll make a push.
I could see the Patriots at the end of the year being top 10. I mean, VBD is good. I mean, his division's a little tough, but I think he wins the division.
Yeah, I think they're rated pretty accurately. It is shocking to see VBD 3-3 with this roster. I don't know how you lose to the Steelers, and maybe even more shocking, he lost to the Giants, and that's their only win on the season. So it'll be interesting to see where he takes it from here and who grabs the division between him, the Jets, and the Bills. And then that brings us to 16, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Again, another top team with a roster. There's just not a whole lot of speed on it, and speed kills in Madden.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are rated a little high because I'm looking at their shit again, and points for is 118, points against is 145, so they're getting outscored. They're lucky to come away 3-3.
Yeah, a big part of that 26-0 loss to the Packers definitely hurts your points for and points against. A tough, close win against the Skins in Week 1, and then they handled business against the Vikings like they should, and then they dropped that one to the Packers, and they lost to the Jets by 10. So I think they're pretty fairly rated. They're a pretty middle of the road team right now, and we have them right exactly in the middle of the road. And at 15, we have the Steelers, probably rated too high.
Man, the offense is firing. But when I got the sticks on defense, dude, I'm telling you, it's like an 11-year-old that just got his first stiffy. It's like I don't know what to do with my hands. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, your
I've
D's
got
not
the
looking
most
good.
points for in the league.
Yeah, it's basically the opposite of the Jags. You get buckets, which I don't, but then like, oh my gosh, bro, people are scoring on you like with their punter on the field. 32nd
It's
ranked
bad.
defense. Whew, that's tough. At 14, we got the Bills.
I think I had them here before we collaborated. I think 14 is right where they're at. They've got a solid defense. Um, just need a little more putting it together in the red zone.
You still with us, Chad?
Yeah, I'm here.
You agree with the Bills at 14?
Yeah, I like the Bills at 14. Robert's a good user. I mean, we all know his fucking content's pretty nice. So I like him where he's at.
Yeah, their defense is playing well, and they're getting a ton of production out of Traymon Smith. Me and Nick talked about it on the other podcast, and he's balling. At 13, we have the Detroit Lions.
So I had the Lions and the Steelers flip flopped, but when reviewing the notes, the Lions are a more balanced team. They're better on defense than I have been. So
Everybody
I
is.
understand that. Yeah, literally everybody. So I get it. They're a good team.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised at Aries because last year he struggled last cycle, and this year he's off to a like relatively hot start, and I like where he's at right now.
Yeah, getting there with the defense. All his trades in the offseason were to improve the defense, so it's nice to see those trades paying off a little bit so far. You'd like to see a better average out of on Johnson, and I know I'm casting stones from the glass house with Leonard Fournette averaging 1 yard per carry, but you'd like to see on get it going a little bit better, and then if you get the ground and pound really cooking with that defense, he should be in business for this closing half of the season. 12, Oakland Raiders.
This is where I had him on my list too. Leading the division, but the division doesn't seem to be as tough as it normally is. I still think Doss takes over it, but I don't know how far he'll actually make it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Raiders division's way worse than our division. They give us the South the cupcake name. I think it's the West.
the uh, the Raiders, they're getting a lot of production out of Carr, and at 3-2, I still definitely would take them to win the division. So I think they're rated pretty fairly here. And at 11, we have the Indianapolis Colts.
So I had the next two flipped. But the Colts have a solid roster, a solid user. I just wish he could play on time most of the time. You know what I mean?
I fucking agree with you completely. If I don't get this fucking win in the sim tonight, I'm leaving the league.
Colts come in. It's tough to grade after 5 games, and one game is a force loss. It's tough to really see what they're doing when you just look at the stats. But they're 3-2, so you know that's a pretty good start. They've already won a division game against the Titans. They have the division game against the Texans going to Sim, but it was a 1 point win over the Chiefs, and I guess that's their only loss because the other one was the Sim to the Falcons. So the Colts are they're sitting here at 11 with a pretty fairly small sample size, and honestly, if they keep playing the way they are, I expect them to move up. At number 10, we got the Jets.
So this is where I had them switch. The Jets have a talented roster, a young quarterback. He's going to miss some throws, but Josh being the user, like that's a good team. That's a real good team.
Yeah, I like the Jets where they're at. I mean their offense isn't producing, but their defense is. But I feel like Josh will get his offense going eventually.
It was a nice win against the Patriots early in the season, but a tough loss against the Cowboys last night. But I guess part of the reason was he was trying to feed Gallup to try to get his super progression thing going. So we'll see if that holds true or
It's
not.
fine.
At number 9, somehow, some way, we have the Houston Texans.
Dude, if it's not obvious how much a roster actually affects your overall standings, then this one right here gives it to you. Worst user in the league, but one of the best teams to go with a worst user.
Yeah, I actually disagree with this ranking. I think the Texans should be at a high number fucking 1.
Hmm.
Absolutely slaying the competition right now.
They got a nice bend but don't break defense going. They're forcing a lot of turnovers. They give up a lot of yards, so but I mean that doesn't matter if you're not really letting teams score. And then their offense is doing all right now. You'd like to see Chad being an offensive user get the offense flowing a little more to roll with that 21 points allowed per game defense. But it's good to see Chad and the Texans pretty high up here for now. We'll see if it holds. At number 8, we got the Skins.
Young team, young quarterback. There's going to be mistakes, but there's a very good possibility Jack ends up in the Super Bowl. Just winging that one.
Yeah, I think Jack wins the NFC East, even though it's kind of tough. I think Jack wins it every year. I mean, I'll give him that. He might be the best user in the league, even though I fucking hate to say that. So I used to play him fucking twice a season last cycle, and he would just dominate me every game.
Yeah, it's crazy to say, but this might be the lowest we have the Redskins for a long time, considering how young that team is and how they're already performing. So that's kind of crazy to say. At number 7, we have the Baltimore Ravens.
I had the Ravens put a little bit higher up on this list because Marquise Brown is literally unstoppable.
Yeah,
Like
the combo
Marquise Brown is ridiculous.
the combo from fucking with having Lamar and him is pretty much unstoppable.
Oh,
I
it's
could see him going far as fucking the playoffs too.
and on top of
Yeah,
that, you have a 92 speed, 90 XL, 6'4" Miles Boykin, opposite of Marquise.
yeah. I thought I had Lamar in the backfield a couple times, and then all of a sudden he was running for 60 yards. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I had him at on my list. I had him at looks like I had him at 5. So this is pretty close to what that was.
He took that first forced loss, and I think that's what's throwing off a couple of his stats.
What's crazy is Regan's not even really an offensive user. So once he figures out this defense, which you know he probably will, he's probably in the lab right now learning what works, what doesn't. And then he adds that to this offense, Regan's going to be a problem for the entire cycle for everybody.
Well, Regan might be the worst user in the league, so
Definitely
we just hope that Lamar gets hurt.
At number 6, Carolina Panthers.
I think this one's a little too high for them right now. They beat one person, Chad, that has a winning record. I just think they have a lot more to prove. The last half of their schedule is horrific.
Yeah, their schedule's been pretty easy so far, but their roster, the Panthers roster is fucking sick. He paid like $150 to get the fucking roster, so it's gotta be good. I think you're high enough.
I had him at 3, to be honest. Yeah, they've their schedule looks kind of easy, but they're like handling business at the same time. You know, they're not dropping games to the Rams out there in the West. So I had them at 3, and then that brings us into number 5, cracking the top 5 here. We got the Green Bay Packers.
I think this is a fair placement. Pride's a good user. He's got a real good team. I think 5 is a very fair placement for the Packers.
Yeah, I agree. Pride last year struggled just because he was the Dolphins. This year he's got a good roster, so he'll be all right.
Yeah, he was giving up a lot of points in the beginning, and he's like already figured that out. So, and then he had a nice win. It's only 15-9, but a win's a win. It took him overtime to get the win over the Lions, but that's going to be huge going forward. He dropped a game against the Bears, So those are going to be some awesome games later down the season. Hopefully we can like broadcast or something. Which is a nice segue actually to number 4, Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I had the Bears over the Packers just because of that win. That roster's nice. I like the Bears. Riot's a decent user. I think that the roster just puts him over the edge.
Yeah, Riot's cooking, and again, like Jared said, the roster's fucking nice. So, I mean, if he keeps it up, he can win that division too.
Yeah, this between how he plays defense and this how effective he keeps Tariq Cohen, because right now he's averaging like 80 carry. So if he keeps that going and just handles business like he has so far in the NFC North, I think he's pretty deserving of this 4 spot. And number 3, we have the New Orleans Saints.
A good user, great roster. It's a terrible combination for the rest of the league. That's all you can say about that.
Yeah, I personally fucking hate playing Rec, but I mean, he beats me every time, so it's got to be good because I'm fucking very good.
6th in points scored, 3rd in points allowed. I had him at 6, just because some of these other teams, but he honestly he destroyed me and he destroyed Chad, so there's not much bad we could say about him. And he's getting it done, through the air, on the ground. He uses the linebacker well in coverage, and they're getting to the quarterback. I mean, there's literally no holes for the Saints right now, so we'll just see if everyone can stay healthy and he can keep doing what he's doing. At number 2, we go out west, San Francisco 49ers.
So I had them at number 1. Very talented roster. Nick's a great user. He's good with team management. And Antonio Brown cooked the shit out of me in the game. So I had them at number 1.
Yeah, he's definitely got all the keys to being number 1, but you can't rank a guy number 1 when he just lost to a team that was over. So,
Well, Boone had 1 win before that. Yeah, when I started out the list, I had him 1 because he has the head-to-head against the Browns. But if we're like trying to make these like sim or whatever, most recently the Browns have a win and the Niners dropped a game to the Rams, so that just drops them to 2 for now, which kind of seems crazy with they both have 1 loss and he has the head-to-head. But they're fine going forward, and their offense is business is booming with AB and co, so they're gonna be fine, and we'll probably see them in the Super Bowl against our number 1 team here, the Cleveland Browns.
What a roster and a good user to go along with it. That's stupid.
Yeah, the Browns are without a doubt number 1, but I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl just because they're very good at losing in the playoffs, first round.
I'm very impressed with how he's managed the roster, though. And I looked at some of the contracts, and he's got people sealed up. I'm very impressed how he managed that roster, though.
Yeah, they're like first in every category here on Daddy Leagues. Great user, great roster, balling right now, taking care of business like they should be. The only thing that might hurt them going forward is they're like crazy with their preparation and game planning for all the games, and he's going to be pretty busy until football season's in, so that might help the AFC out. So we'll have to see if that plays a factor or not. And with that, that's all 32 teams, and we'll get to you guys with some kind of something. Running out of ideas here because the podcast grind's been crazy for everybody. So that'll end this one. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jared.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, Chad, for coming along.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time.